Hi guys, it's Christina from Redefine Creative, and I am back with a Wacky Wednesday layout for you this week. And I am working with the new Cool Kid collection from Crepe Paper, and you'll see the photo I picked out, and I'm going to tell you the story behind that here in a second. And I did take those cut file letters that I just created from a font on my computer and made them into one connected piece, and then I backed each one of those letters with some of the pattern paper from the 6x6 paper pad from this collection. And then I'm going to go ahead and take this black and white kind of plus sign paper, and I'm going to use that to create a band across the top of my white cardstock. And then I'm also going to put what I think is going to be a little banner down here on the bottom corner. It is not going to end up staying there, but I do spend some time making it into a banner, and I do think throughout most of my process that I'm going to leave it down there in that bottom corner. And it does make it onto the layout, but in a little bit different form. So I have this 4x6 photo that is going to go in the middle of the page, and I wanted some additional difference between that black and white paper and the white background. So as you'll see there, I've added a piece of yellow cardstock, or pattern paper actually, that came from this same kit, and it's the yellow one with the little white triangles on it. And then I have pulled out this really pretty stripe paper, and this one is actually from the Cute Girl collection, so this one isn't from the Boys series, but I'm only going to use the darker colors. So although my daughter's in this picture with my two sons, this has more of an extreme boy feel to it, and that's because of what the content of the picture is. So I'm going to use this, and I'm going to play with this pattern paper here for a while because I wanted to create a bigger mat around my photo, and I'm going to use this stripe paper to do that. And so I spent some time trying to decide if I want those stripes to be horizontal or vertical. And they end up in the final layout actually going vertically, just like you'll see there. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a bunch of scraps from that 6x6 paper pad, and I'm just going to tuck them into the different layers behind my photo. And that's going to create some more dimension and give the idea that I have a lot of pattern paper layers behind the photo, whereas really I'm just using these scraps and strips that were left over. So this photo is a photo of my three kids, and you'll see a little closer in the close-up picture, but they're all on their bikes with their helmets, and they're all kind of making faces at me. And this is a photo that my husband actually took when I was stuck at work. And so when I get stuck at work and the kids are home, a lot of times they'll send me, crazy, goofy pictures of what they're doing when I'm not there. And it always makes my heart happy to see them out having fun and doing something, being crazy, being kids. And so that is kind of the idea behind this layout, and you'll see their faces and their expressions and things up closer when you see the close-up photos at the end. And I intentionally, when I was printing this photo, I moved my kids up in the frame of the photo because I wanted to have all that white space on the bottom. And I knew when I was printing this photo that I wanted that white space of the sidewalk because I was going to anchor that title there. So I'm going to end up calling this layout My Biker Gang. And so those big cut file letters go across the entire span of the photo. And then I've added in those pink fresh sticker letters for My and Gang to go with it. And there you'll see I'm playing with one of the frames. And this is from the Cool Kid collection. It came off of the 12x12 chipboard sheet. And I've cut it in half and placed part of it on the top left and part of it on the bottom right. And then I had two little pieces left over that I decided to include in those layers around my photo. And then I am grabbing some of these cork shapes, and these are from the SpiegelMom Scraps store, and they are super thin, and I absolutely love them. They go on everything, they don't add a bunch of bulk, and they're just the perfect shapes. And so I pulled out a bunch of the bigger size stars. I have the smaller stars, and I tried those on the layout, but they just didn't stand out or give quite the right look. So I did pull out a bunch of the bigger stars, and I'm going to go ahead and use those. And then in my cluster at the top and my cluster at the bottom, I'm also adding one of these puffy sticker stars. And I try it there by the title and decide that I don't really like it up there. It's just a little bit too much. So I end up putting just one in the top left and one in the bottom right. And as you can see down there in the bottom right, I have changed how I'm using those banners, and instead they're kind of hanging off the top of that frame. And I ended up liking that a lot better. So it really does kind of go with this diagonal design that I have on this layout. And then I'm going to go back to each one of my clusters and add a third star. And this one is going to be from the sticker sheet. So I have a cork star, a puffy sticker star, and then just a regular sticker star. And so that adds a lot of different dimension in each of those embellishment clusters. And then I grab this little love this sticker, and I'm going to put that down here underneath my title. And that is going to stay there. And then I'm just looking at the other stickers to see if there's any on this sheet that I want to use. And I don't think I pull off any other ones with this one. So then I go ahead and I pulled off camera that little dude chipboard, which came off of the 12x12 chipboard sheet, and put that up in that top part of the photo. And then I pulled up my Tim Holtz little sticker, phrase stickers, which I absolutely love. I think they've been going on every single layout lately. And I found a bunch of phrases that worked with this layout. So the one up by Dude just says, take risks. And then down underneath my title, it says, we are fearless, independent, and original. Ordinary people can do extraordinary things and always take the scenic route. And then I also had another little one down there that says, be you bravely. And I end up pulling that off and moving it up to the cluster on the top because I feel like the 4 was too many underneath my title. So I pull it off and then just put it up there at the top, and I like it a lot better up there. And then I also went ahead and grabbed some sequins from the SpiegelMom Scraps store, and these are the Magical Day in the Park. And that added the last little sparkly element that I needed, and I am really happy with how this layout turned out. That black pen detailing around the edge was just kind of a little added detail that made the page look complete. And I really hope you enjoyed this project, and you'll join me again next week for another Wacky Wednesday. Bye!